I think of it as something that has a lot of reality and a lot of consciousness involved in it. I describe it as a mixture between old-time, real reggae, real rubber dub, mixed in with a lot of new flavor sounds in there. But the thing that is common throughout all of it, you'll always hear some kind of conscious message, some kind of story that's dealing with reality, you know, and hopefully uplifting people. Well, first and foremost, I'd have to say the inspiration for my music is from God Almighty, and I don't really mean to sound pretentious when I say that, you know what I mean, but it's just that every time after I write a song, I couldn't tell you where it really came from, you know what I mean, and so far all of my songs tend to deal with a message that is uplifting, so I have to believe that it's from God Almighty himself, you know. Musically, you know, I'd have to say everybody from Bob Marley to Bob Dylan, you know what I mean. You know, I grew up listening to so many different types of music that if you listen to my tunes long enough, you'll hear a little bit of everything in there, you know. Well, you know, it's when I found myself having all of these songs in my head and writing these songs and having things to say, you know, and not being able to find anybody who was willing to sing them for me, you know what I mean. I never really considered myself a singer, kind of considered myself more a writer and a producer. So after working on these songs, still not being able to find anybody to sing them, I said, hey, you know, let me do a demo at least. And after doing a few demos and hearing people say, well, you know, that don't sound too bad, I just decided, well, you know, since I can't get anybody else, let me sing them. And that's basically how it went. There's been so many rewarding experiences. I would say the major one was singing at a Reggae Boys match at the National Stadium the same year when we qualified for the World Cup. That was amazing. I can't remember much of it because all I can remember is I see a yellow and green and not being able to hear myself over the crowd, and that was amazing. But you know, there's been so many, especially when you travel overseas and you see how people abroad are just loving what you're doing, you know. So all in all, every time I go on stage in front of, even if it's 2 fans, it's a joy to me. The influence of music in Jamaica and in almost every other society is huge, and that is one of the reasons why, you know, it's always a purpose of mine and of my music to do something positive when it comes to the general community and the society on a whole. There's a lot of kids out there who, you know, they seem to learn a lot much more from music than they do from anything else. Our whole way of living now is so affected by what, you know, popular musicians who have the ear of the youth are giving them to listen to. So I do think that if we want to really affect any type of change in Jamaica and in our society, that music is a perfect tool to use. We need to look at it that way, we need to focus on it that way, we need more powerful people in the business to deal with it that way, and trust me, we will start to see a change. Strangest experience with a fan. I don't know, my fans don't tend to be very strange, you know what I mean, but I did have one young lady in England who lifted up her blouse and wanted me to autograph her belly, but what is going on nowadays, I guess that's not too strange, you know what I mean? Yes and no, you know. I used to get that especially early out. People would listen to the songs that I do, and then they would see me and I just don't look like how they expected me to look. I don't really know what that is fully about, but you know, hopefully through my music too, you know, I can help to show that, you know, there's people out there who are conscious of what is going on, you know. There's people out there who are aware, but it's just that they might not have the opportunities that all of us have to do something about it. So I don't know, I never really planned for this or asked for this. I just feel I have things to say. Hopefully people can get past where they perceive that I come from or whatever it is I am, and just look at me as somebody who's just trying to do something with the music. VC has been up to what a lot of other people have been up to. That's just, you know, trying to raise a family, trying to live day to day, trying to take care of all the responsibilities of a man, you know what I mean? And in doing that, trust me, that has given me a lot of fuel for a lot of the songs that I've been writing. Cause I don't think you can separate yourself from reality and write about reality, you know what I mean? So there's also been a lot of writing, a lot of recording. I've been doing the occasional show overseas as well, but as I say, man, living life and giving God thanks, you know, every day. We're looking at a release date for the album sometime in summer. That's not confirmed yet, but what everybody's going to be noticing now, of course, the first single that we're putting out with a video, that's Roughneck. That's the one that's going to be out there first, and that's going to be followed pretty quickly by the second single called Judgment Day. And you know, we're going to watch what happens, see what the response is, but hopefully based on those two singles, you'll be seeing the album and hearing the album by midsummer. And now that you've listened to me talk on and on and on about all kinds of things, we're going to get to the real purpose for you being here. That's for us to have some fellowship, get exposed to some social matters, but to enjoy ourselves and to take in my new video. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming, and here is Roughneck.